Girlfriend met up with my overseas friend behind my back. Now she's begging me for forgiveness after I found their messages. I've been living with my girlfriend for over 2 years now, and we've dated for about 6 years since we met in college. We've both been out of college for roughly 2 years now, and one of my friends who moved out of the country announced he was coming back to our country for a visit and I offered for him to stay. GF has never met friend, we'll refer to him as Larry. However, Larry and I had Skypes and GF was often around and got to know Larry through me. Anyways, we were all excited. Fast forward, Larry arrives, everything is well, but about 2 to 3 weeks into his stay I became increasingly uncomfortable with the way Larry and my GF would act together. I vented my feelings to my GF who assured me nothing was going on, and I didn't say anything to Larry. Eventually Larry's little nuances got to me, we'd have little feuds over nothing, and I asked Larry to move out and find somewhere else to stay. Cue some bitterness between Larry and I now. Larry left last weekend. He's gone. A few days back I noticed my GF's Facebook had some messages from Larry. When I asked my GF about it she quickly closed the window and told me it's nothing, just Larry trying to get an idea as to why I was bitter at him. In my mind I felt he was exceeding his boundaries as my friend, so I decided to cut him out. GF would scold me and call me a miserable person. We even had a little fight about it when I told my GF I didn't want Larry to stay over the night before his flight. GF eventually apologized, but I was still disappointed that she didn't have my back or understand my feelings. Anyways, I should go back to the FB messages. Today I was just shutting down our PCs after the GF had gone to bed and my curiosity got the worst of me. I know, this is bad, and opened up her FB. She was already logged in and I noticed a message from Larry that was unread. I opened it and went through their conversation history and this is where I wanted to throw up. Basically they met up at least once behind my back when I was on a business trip, and wanted to coordinate another visit but my GF didn't feel it would work out. Larry replies back that he needs to hold her again and misses her very much, calling her things like sweetie. I was livid. Words cannot describe how I felt reading that out. The combination of anger, despair, sadness, betrayal, and pure rage was too much for me to take. WGF had also sent her a photo of a campfire from this weekend, when we were together, that she took and sent to Larry saying I miss you. God damn it. I confronted the GF, had to wake her up at 1 a.m. and ask her. At first she was sleepy and denied it all, but when I told her I'd read her convo history, and that I was sorry for violating her privacy, but had to know why she was keeping this from me, things became clear in her mind that I was very hurt by all of this. I explained my feelings. I was hurt, betrayed. I housed this guy and showed him a good time for a month, and even after all of this you told me I was the crazy one. Now my worst suspicions are true. My friend Larry is obviously cut from my life, can't have toxic people like that around, but my GF is another problem. I'm seriously head over heels in love with her and don't want to lose her. On the other hand, my heart is torn and I have too much self-respect to continue dating her. She completely thrashed my trust into the ground, and what's worse is humiliated me by going after one of my friends that I let stay with me. I feel like I've fucked myself in a lot of ways, and that I should have seen this coming, but I was naive. Anyways, we both have to work tomorrow, but I'm seriously at a loss for words. GF and I have only spoken a bit. I mean, it is late at night. It's about 4:15 a.m. while I type this. I've gotten zero sleep tonight, even after driving around and bawling my eyes out in an empty parking lot. What she did tell me was that she didn't think I loved her anymore, that every time she'd try to talk to me about something serious I'd make jokes and laugh it off. I know this isn't easy to hear, and I admit to being immature, but damn, I thought we were stronger than this. I guess the lesson has been learned. Regardless, I'm at a loss for words. I feel like us breaking up is inevitable, and it makes things so complicated seeing as I just bought this house about 10 months ago, and we shared a dog. She's even driving a car that I gave her. I know splitting things up won't be easy, and to be honest I don't want her to go, but like I said, my brain is telling me this is what we need, yet my heart feels otherwise. Update 1. It's been almost 20 days since this all went down. I've had a lot of time to myself and my job keeps me on the road, so I've had a few business trips in the meantime to keep me distracted. I'm so far enjoying my new lifestyle that I'm trying to build for myself. There is a lot of free time I have, and I'm enjoying having full control over my schedules and tasks that I do day to day. Being able to plan for just myself is alleviating, and I'm starting to look back and see all the flaws that were present in my past relationship that now I really see as red flags. Overall, I was pretty unhappy when I was with my ex. I'm recognizing that now. I bared with the unhappiness and kept going because I felt that this is what normal guys do in long-term relationships, the sunken cost theory. Also, I thought she was loyal, so case in point I didn't see any point to break things up, so from that point of view I recognize I have some personal faults that I need to fix in order to consider myself healthy again. I met someone when I was on one of my trips and we had sex in my hotel room. It was one of the worst sexual experiences I've ever had. It was way too early after the breakup, and in my mind I was just thinking I'd be horny and fuck someone else and give myself a break. The second we started to have sex, I felt myself get hit with a tidal wave of emotion. I immediately thought of my ex, since she was the only person I'd have sex with before. The actions, thrusting, etc., were so enamored in my head from being with her. Looking down and realizing I wasn't made me sick and very upset. I couldn't finish. I ended up rolling over and trying to hold back my tears. Thankfully she was understanding when I told her I just got out of a relationship, and she decided to leave without any commotion. She was even nice enough to tell me she knows how it feels and that it will get better with time. Definitely not going to call her again. I regret even putting myself in that scenario, but granted I learned something about myself afterwards. My ex didn't really have any of her own friends. This should have been another red flag. She was constantly around my friends, and being honest I didn't really mind. But now that I see how broken that is for a person to lack any best friend or a group of people they saw before we got together and continued to be together. My friends have always been there for me, even the ones I knew before my ex. Granted she's now on her own. I have no idea who she's talking to about this whole scenario aside from her immediate family, and I don't really care. I've had the talk with a few mutual friends me and Larry had. Everyone is pretty much shocked, but they also told me that they had a feeling something was going on, but Larry would lie to them when they'd ask. Larry has since tried to reach out to some of them and try to rectify the situation, but they've already heard the story from me first, so most of them have cut Larry out of their lives. But to be honest, I'm not very close with these people and don't plan on growing to be more close to them in the future. Larry was the only crux of our relationship, so if they do continue and associate with them I would definitely not be happy and wouldn't mind cutting off contact with them as well. This actually became an issue with one of our mutual friends, we'll call him John. John's a good guy, we have similar interests and he was around a lot of the time Larry was. John was over at my house this past weekend since he just picked up his new car near a dealership near my place. He lives 1.5 hours away. So John and I are shooting the shit and it's kind of inevitable for us to talk about what happened with me. He did bring up how he talked to Larry and how Larry is still lying to him. This kind of irked me. I told John the first didn't care about Larry and that if he's going to continue to associate with Larry then I can't see us continuing to be friends. John was obviously a little upset by this, saying he just can't process what happened and wants to give Larry a chance to explain himself. I told him that's fine, but again, it's like he's condoning these actions and if he wants to get burned in the future that's his own decision. I just don't want Larry around me in any shape or form. And if John wants to be around me he needs to understand that. It's not like Larry broke my car and refuses to pay. The guy stabbed me in the back and I can't ever forget that, even if in time I find it in myself to forgive Larry, which right now, I can't. Larry is dead to me. We talked only briefly after I kicked my ex out, and it was mostly us cursing at one another. Very childish. Like I said, I knew I wouldn't get any closure out of talking to the guy and hearing him try to explain himself. Larry and my ex are both very broken people. They blame others for their own unhappiness and feel it's justified when their behaviors cause others to become upset. Now, as for me, well my head is a fucking tornado about 12 hours of every day. I've been smoking pot to keep my cool and enjoy video games, but there is a lot of time when I avoid it altogether because I know I feel depressed and smoking pot will only drive me to be more sad since I'll dwell on my feelings and the past. Moving on is one of the hardest things I've had to do in my whole life. I've heard stories from others saying how they are happy to hear that this happened to me. Why? Well, they've had the same thing happen except after 30 years of marriage and 3 kids, so they felt like they were not only robbed of some of the best years of their life but now they also have a financial obligation towards the person who manipulated and hurt them the worst. I don't feel better hearing about how worse it could have been, but I'm happy we never had any kids or decided to marry. I definitely would have been dealing with another sideshow of a scenario. Here's another kicker, my ex's sister, only 2 years older than her, did the exact same thing at the start of this year to her own husband literally 3 days after we got back from their destination wedding. She met another guy at their wedding and decided this was the guy for her, fucked him, still went through with the wedding, and afterwards everyone got back, broke it off with the dude. I didn't know the full story, and at the time we just moved into our new home, so I invited her to stay with us until she got back on her feet. When she started seeing this new guy, I was really uneasy about it. This was also complicated because she was living here, and didn't seem to have any plans to move out. I had to coach her sister on how to get a loan for a down payment, how to talk to landlords, etc., etc. Very immature family. This should have been another huge red flag, but I ignored it and had to deal with the consequences of it. I've actually reconnected with her ex-husband, named Tim. Tim and I were friends throughout our relationships with these sisters, and I was sad to see Tim go the way he did, but I was on the sisters' side by association, so even if I felt things weren't right, Therese, nothing I could have done about it. In retrospect, I should have kicked both of these crazy bitches out and told them go get a life. More about me, I'm hitting the gym, trying to eat healthy, having more one-by-one time with my dog Bro, and overall just trying to take it easy. This is such a huge change in my lifestyle that it's not something I can adjust to quickly, and even though my work schedule has me flying somewhere new every week, it's really tough still managing everything and ensuring I'm not stressing myself out with my own expectations. I'm still used to having my ex's voice in my head, telling me to rush home and be with her. I've been having a lot of dreams where I see her and Larry together. They're both tormenting me. I've had dreams where I murder Larry, I crush his skull with a hammer and run over his head with a truck. I feel bad about these dreams because even though I want revenge, I don't like causing pain to other human beings. It's not like I can't hurt him, but I've hurt others in the past, sports, and I never took pleasure in that, even though my teammates did at times. So it's just not in me, although I'd love to visit him in his home country and kidnap him and cue some torture. These are just weird things I say to keep myself from going insane. I still feel a lot of pain and guilt about what happened, and I shouldn't have to. This is a process, I know. I always go back and read the original thread I started when I'm feeling weak and want to text/call the ex. I've held strong on the NC, but a few times I did message her. Once when I found a receipt from a couple's massage retreat when I was out of town. On another occasion, I just wanted to let her know that I found another piece of evidence. Really, there was no point to this. I was just in pain and feeling weak. She lied through her teeth about everything, told me how she wanted me back and how she wants to kill herself. It felt kind of good hearing that, but still, it's a twisted feeling and I know I shouldn't be talking to her. She is toxic, she lies and had no problems deceiving me. I just feel like such a fool for spending so many years with her, and to top it off, the amount of humiliation I feel when I imagine her with Larry is just beyond this world. I used to have a lot of self-confidence, but now I feel like a literal piece of shit. I feel used, worthless, ready to be discarded. Almost as if I deserve this to happen sometimes. Wow. Honestly, I can't believe the difference between writing my last update and right now, sitting here at my cluttered kitchen table, dog flopped at my feet, bizarrely okay for the first time in a long time. When I wrote before, my brain felt like scrambled eggs, but it turns out everything just kept escalating. Some parts were painful as hell, some were so surreal I'm still processing. Here goes, strap in, it's a ride. First thing, my ex didn't make the breakup clean. She started blowing up my phone the week after my last post. Not just the I'm sad stuff, but real unhinged stuff, voicemails at 2 a.m., begging to talk, pages of texts about regrets, dreams she'd had, sometimes ragey, sometimes telling me she loved me. I held the no contact rule, but it was hard. She tried showing up at my house unannounced twice, and just for context, she still has the car I gave her, uck. The second time, I wasn't home, but she left an envelope jammed in the door. Inside? A handwritten letter, like 7 single-spaced pages. She included an old Polaroid of us posing with our, now shared custody, dog, and a playlist, as a QR code. I didn't scan it. Call it progress? What truly pushed me over the edge, and toward real peace, weirdly, weren't her antics, it was learning that Larry never actually left the country when he said he did. I got tipped off, completely by accident. A neighbor I barely know mentioned he'd seen a guy outside my house, chatting with my ex one afternoon. He was describing Larry. Apparently, they'd met up after I'd left for a work trip. I was furious, but, I kid you not, too numb to even react. That night, I blocked both of them on every remaining social. I'd been holding onto FB Messenger with Larry, for closure, but it was just dragging me down. Changed my locks too, just in case. A twist, a confession a week later, her sister, yes, the same one from my last post, reached out. She apologized, out of the blue. I thought she was calling about the car, but nope, she said she'd been feeling guilty for months. She told me that my ex and Larry, during that first week he arrived, hooked up in my house. The night I thought my ex had fallen asleep in front of the TV with a migraine, she texted Larry to come downstairs. Her sister saw the texts on her phone one morning and pieced the rest together after the fallout. She wanted to clear her conscience, I guess, but it sent me into a tailspin for days. But then, it honestly felt freeing. That piece of closure, or, more likely, final straw evidence, finally made my decision about cutting all ties feel possible. Ironically, my ex's sister and I ended up talking a lot about our mutual feelings of WTF just happened to our lives. We've even hit up a couple of dog parks together, with our respective doggo brothers. No, it's not some weird romance, if you're wondering, but it's been cool having someone around who gets the exact flavor of crazy. The John/Larry fallout. John fell fully off the radar after I drew the line. He messaged a long, defensive text about how friendship just isn't that black and white and things are complicated. I haven't heard from him since, but apparently, via a different friend, he started hanging with Larry again. Madness to me, but I just can't care anymore. With time and space, not only do I not care, but I sort of pity them for their inability to see the writing on the wall. The dog and the house drama. The house has been an unexpected comfort. Those first weeks, every room screamed her memory back at me, but something changed when I started recreating the place. I painted the living room a color she hated. She once called it hospital hallway gray, so guess what it is now? Hauled out all the old throw pillows, and went crazy with plants everywhere. My dog is obsessed with the new backyard setup. I built him a ramp up to a chill-out platform with some leftover wood and, I swear, he acts like he owns the place now. The custody of the dog, however, got dicey. She demanded visits at first, so we set up a couple. The dog was stressed and kept trying to follow me when she took him, and after one weird/tense handoff at a Target parking lot, she ghosted, then texted me that seeing him is too painful. He's staying with me. I hate that for her, but honestly, he's so much happier and calmer now. Getting past the rage therapy, I went 3 whole sessions. My takeaways surprised me. 1. Betrayal is like a poison. You keep thinking spitting it out will heal you, but the real antidote is time and living your own new experiences. 2. Apparently, I have a thing called rumination spirals, and am not a monster for the murder the bastard dreams. 3. My biggest fear wasn't losing her, but losing the version of myself I'd built around her. I also learned how to handle emotional triggers better, less bottling, more writing, more ugly lifting sessions at the gym, deadlifts, therapy for the soul, it turns out, social, surprises and an unexpected ally. This is wild. Tim, the ex-husband, reached out for help moving some furniture. He didn't want to ask his crazy ex-in-laws. We ended up talking for hours, trading stories about the sisters, and honestly laughing a lot about just how magnet for mess our lives had become. We set up a semi-regular hangout now, Thursday board games and stories of relationship hell. It's helped that I now have someone in my corner who's been even deeper in the same swamp, and that we're starting to see that moving on is funny, in a dark, cosmic kind of way. The surprise guest, Larry's girlfriend plot twist. 2 weeks ago I got a DM from a random woman, Larry's supposed old girlfriend from his home country. She'd found me via mutuals on Facebook and wanted to know exactly what happened between me, Larry, and my ex. According to her, Larry had kept her as a secondary, her word, and swore his trip was all business, no pleasure. I unloaded everything. She wasn't surprised, only confirmed that he's done this kind of thing before. She also told me he's planning a move here soon. Good luck to anyone who employs him. We exchanged memes about cheating exes and honestly, I felt more vindicated than ever. The ex, again, but a final time. I hope. I know what you're thinking. Dude, stop letting her back in. Trust me, I'm there. She tried texting me again. Can we talk about everything you heard from my sister? It's not the whole truth. I want to give you closure. This time, I didn't even respond. I wonder what the whole truth is. Did she also steal my AirPods? She did. Was she always this dishonest? I don't want closure anymore. I want a new hobby. And I have one. I bought a cheap old acoustic guitar. Every time I feel the urge to text my ex, I force myself to learn a new chord. My fingers hurt, but I don't want her in my head. What now? The best part? Things are, for the first time in years, fun again. My job keeps me busy. I'm playing more video games, doing dumb cooking experiments, shout out to my first disastrous attempt at risotto, hanging with Tim and the dog, and making plans for a solo hiking trip. I even went out with someone last week. I didn't cry, I didn't think about my ex. We talked about bad exes and dog memes. I don't know if it's a spark, but it's not a fire drill in my chest, either, and that's good enough for now. #TL, ex tried to win me back with increasingly weird gestures. Confirmed she and Larry hooked up while he was staying here. Thanks, ex-sister-in-law. Larry never actually left the country when he claimed, continued to lurk around. Old mutual friend John made his picks, I let him go. Dog, finally, is mine, and the house is starting to feel like a home. Built new routines, hit therapy, reconnected with Tim forged in hell. Larry's overseas girlfriend contacted me and we compared notes. He's a plague. Guitar texting the ex. Life, still a mess, but it's my mess. And I'm honestly, weirdly good with that. I'll check back if anything else wild happens. But for now, I'm just glad to be living my own story again. Thanks, Reddit, for talking me off a cliff, sometimes literally. Hey Reddit, back again because, evidently, my existence has turned into some extended black comedy where the writers just keep pumping out new plot lines. If you read my last update and thought, there's no way it can get any weirder, sit down. Have a beverage. This one is a doozy, and for once most of the surprises are the good kind. And, yeah, there's at least one more Larry bombshell, because that man is apparently the herpes of my personal life, he just never really goes away. I kept radio silence after the last time, I swear. Deleted the playlist. Refused to engage when she texted that the dog looked sad in his Instagram stories. Yes, a mutual posted our doggo and apparently he now channels Nick Cave level heartbreak. Whatever, but exes, like horror movie villains, never really die. First, she Venmo'd me $5 with the caption for your next guitar string. Then I started getting friend requests, dozens of them, from weird, obviously fake accounts. My hypothesis was confirmed when the fourth account messaged me about how beautiful my eyes are. I never considered catfishing a method of post-breakup sabotage, but props for creativity? Her sister and I actually got a kick out of this and now have a running competition for the weirdest fake account name. Mandy Manderson. 69 inches is still the reigning champion, but here's where it crosses over to the realm of genuinely bizarre. The Larry Renaissance, international man of mystery. So, remember how Larry's old girlfriend in Europe messaged me and told me he was moving here? Plot twist, he actually did come back. I found out because John, the mutual friend I'd written off, sent one last text. Bro, not sure if I should warn you but Larry is at the Friday market downtown. Saw him with, wait for it, your former landlord's daughter? Did I go to the market out of morbid curiosity? I mean, yes. I brought the dog as emotional cover. And guess what? There he was, sporting a beret, and acting like some lost European backpacker. The instant we locked eyes he did one of those exaggerated movie double takes, mumbled something that may have been hey, man or help me, and, I kid you not, vanished behind a cheese stall. I didn't follow. The dog pooped right in the road at that exact moment, which felt like cosmic poetry. Why was he hanging out with my old landlord's daughter, of all people? No clue. But the local rumor mill now has him pegged as both an international DJ and guy who can open any kind of lock. Godspeed, small city. Illegal curveball, the car fiasco. So remember how my ex still had the car I'd given her? Well, buckle up, it gets dumber. I got pulled over last week coming back from a business trip because a vehicle registered to your address had been ticketed 6 times for illegal parking and unpaid tolls. Turns out, the tags were expired, registration was still in my name, that was my slip-up, and the city had started the process of impounding the car. Q days of phone calls, a notarized letter, and an actual certified letter to her demanding she sort her own stuff or pay up. A week of silence, then a frantic text from her at 3 a.m. My car's been towed, your name is on all the letters, help. My reply, sounds like an adult problem. Did I feel a tiny, dark flicker of joy? Absolutely. Plot twist, Tim's new girlfriend and the sisters summit. Yes, Tim, the ex-brother-in-law, texted with some major news. He's dating someone. Guess who? Not the ex's other sister, thank God. But close, a friend of both sisters from college. You truly cannot make this stuff up. We all ended up accidentally running into each other at a bar. The whole circle of survivors vibe is real. It was like sharing war stories at a veterans gathering. Even more shocking? My ex was there, with her new boyfriend. He seemed, strangely, nice. We nodded mutual kill me now looks at each other. The air was thick enough to cut. I ordered 3 whiskeys. Her new boyfriend petted my dog, and my dog immediately peed on his shoe. 3 cheers for canine judgment. The healing, actually, kind of fun. Now here's the kicker, I'm good? I mean, genuinely okay. 2 months ago, I wouldn't have believed it. These days, my living room is painted in 2 colors she hated. I added seaweed explosion green to really spite the memory. I started hosting weekend game nights, and Tim's new girlfriend brings bakery, which is dangerous for my waistline and absolutely necessary for my emotional one. That random date I mentioned last time? It got less random. She's ultra chill, loves hiking, thinks my tendency to accidentally attract weird drama is adorable and probably profitable if you ever write a memoir. Not rushing, but I'm not haunted anymore. Sometimes we play guitar together, and for once I'm not thinking about the past, I'm thinking about how embarrassingly bad I am at bar chords. The final, Larry development surprise. Last Thursday, a mutual, the one who sent me market updates, forwarded screenshots from a town Facebook group. Has anyone seen a guy with a strong accent trying to sell signed Daft Punk CDs and promising VIP party invites? Guess who? My phone buzzed the next day with a DM, Larry's old European girlfriend. She's moving here, for work. She wondered whether I'd seen Larry because he's maybe trying to crash with a friend. I gave her the TLDR, run for your life. This place is small. Might I recommend Saskatchewan? Ironically, this time, I can laugh. So can she. She sent me a meme of a tumbleweed with Larry's face rolling through town. The dog, the yard, the closure. The dog and I are thriving. I built another ramp and got him a doggy pool he spends literal hours splashing in. We both sleep a little better now, even if he started snoring at a volume my neighbors can hear. Home feels like home. TLDR, Redux, X tried the catfishing route. It failed, but I admit I was impressed. Larry is back in town, briefly moonlighting as a cheese connoisseur /DJ/ whatever. The car mess finally forced my ex to deal with her own disasters. Ran into Tim, his new girlfriend, ex and her new guy all at one bar. Dog handled it with perfect pettiness. Started to like my own company, and maybe someone else's, too, for the first time in ages. Larry's ex is moving here, pretty sure he'll change his name soon. House is a weird, happy sanctuary now. Dog is basically co-owner. This is, fingers crossed, my last Larry update, unless he robs a bank or joins a traveling circus. If you're going through hell, keep going, and get a dog. Reddit, thanks for witnessing this chaos. For the first time in a long time, I feel like my story is mine again. See you on the other side, unless Larry becomes mayor or something, in which case, I surrender.